Acrobat. The Acrobat technique, used by Killer Bee, is a high-level taijutsu move that enhances his already unpredictable fighting style. Unlike conventional close combat techniques that rely on rigid stances, Acrobat is fluid, erratic, and built around full-body rotations. Killer Bee spins his entire body with immense torque, delivering wide, sweeping kicks and strikes that generate enough centrifugal force to break bones on impact. When paired with his chakra cloaks, or the strength granted by the Eight Tails, each rotation becomes even more devastating. The unpredictability of this movement disrupts the enemy's timing, making counters extremely difficult. Killer Bee often uses this technique in tandem with his unorthodox sword style, holding blades with his elbows, knees, and even between his neck and shoulder, creating a deadly fusion of spinning force and unpredictable slashes. The danger of Acrobat lies not only in its raw power, but also in its angle manipulation. Attacks come from unexpected directions, and once momentum builds, the user becomes a spinning weapon difficult to approach or stop. Crescent Moon. Dance of the Crescent Moon, developed and performed by Hayata Gecko, is a kenjutsu technique that leverages misdirection through sheer speed. By executing high-speed sword movements, the user creates 3 afterimages that mirror his motions in a crescent formation. These are not shadow clones, but visual remnants caused by fast movement, which leaves the enemy struggling to identify the real attacker. The actual user hides among the afterimages, attacking simultaneously with them. This forces the opponent to defend against multiple angles, even though only one strike is real. Hayate designed this move to exploit the narrow windows in a target's defense. When used against slower or distracted opponents, it often ends the battle in a single exchange. Because the technique focuses on real-time misdirection rather than chakra-based illusions, it remains effective even against sensory-type shinobi who can see through genjutsu but not raw physical speed. The Bringer of Darkness technique, developed by Hashirama Senju, is a genjutsu that completely robs the victim of sight. Unlike visual illusions that create false imagery, this jutsu erases all visual input, plunging the target into an absolute void. The sudden sensory deprivation forces the opponent into disorientation and fear. Even seasoned shinobi like Hiruzen Sarutobi, despite years of experience and a calm demeanor, struggled to respond under its effect. The jutsu bypasses typical genjutsu counters by attacking the user's ability to perceive rather than replacing perception with an illusion. This makes it especially effective in group battles or against highly mobile opponents who rely on vision for coordination. Once trapped in darkness, even basic reactions like blocking or dodging become impossible. Hashirama's control of this genjutsu allowed him to suppress threats without physical damage, turning it into a psychological weapon that paralyzes rather than injures. Body Pathway Derangement. Body Pathway Derangement is a medical ninjutsu developed and perfected by Kabuto Yakushi. By sending electric chakra pulses directly into the opponent's nervous system, Kabuto disrupts the brain-body communication pathways. The result is a total inversion of control. When the brain sends a signal to move the left arm, the right leg may respond instead. In severe cases, the victim's limbs may move involuntarily or act against their own will, even attacking their allies or themselves. Because the technique relies on direct contact, Kabuto often uses it after evading an enemy's guard or during a moment of vulnerability. The precision required to manipulate the neural network reveals Kabuto's mastery of human anatomy. Unlike brute force taijutsu, this technique quietly dismantles a fighter's ability to function. Within seconds, coordination breaks down, leaving the enemy unable to defend or retreat. Chidori. Chidori, developed by Kakashi Hatake, is a concentrated lightning release technique that transforms chakra into a high-speed, high-velocity thrust. The chakra is focused in the user's palm, creating a sound similar to 1,000 birds chirping, hence the name. At close range, the technique's piercing ability is powerful enough to penetrate solid rock, steel, or reinforced chakra barriers. However, the immense speed of the charge causes the user to lose peripheral vision, leading to tunnel vision. To compensate, Kakashi incorporated his Sharingan, allowing him to perceive incoming attacks and movements with enhanced precision. Sasuke Uchiha, after learning the technique from Kakashi, refined it into several variations, including Chidori Nagashi, a defensive burst of lightning, and Chidori Senbon, which turns the energy into ranged needle-like projectiles. At its core, Chidori remains an assassination move. It doesn't just injure, it bypasses armor and strikes vital points directly, delivering a lethal outcome in a single blow. Rasengan. Rasengan, created by the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, uses no hand seals and is shaped purely through chakra control. It condenses chakra into a compact, spinning sphere that rotates in multiple directions at once. Unlike elemental-based ninjutsu, Rasengan is raw chakra given form and motion. The impact causes immense internal damage by grinding through muscle, bone, and even chakra-based defenses. It doesn't explode, it ruptures. When Naruto Uzumaki inherited the technique, he initially struggled with its formation, but eventually mastered it and developed a range of advanced forms. His wind style, Raisen Shuriken, adds elemental nature, transforming the Rasengan into a swarm of microscopic blades that attack on a cellular level. Despite its simplicity, the Rasengan's core form is still considered an A-rank jutsu due to its destructive output and difficulty to master. Blade of Wind. Blade of Wind, used by Baki from the Hidden Sand, is a wind release technique that creates cutting streams of air sharp enough to slice cleanly through solid objects. Unlike physical blades, this jutsu produces invisible projectiles made purely of wind chakra. The lack of visibility and sound during its release makes it especially dangerous in close or mid-range combat. A single wave can shear through trees, stone, or even ninja tools reinforced with chakra. Its ability to bypass visual detection means that many opponents fall victim before they can even react. The technique is not flashy, but its surgical precision and lethality mark it as one of the deadliest wind-style attacks in the series. Adamantine Chains. Adamantine sealing chains is a powerful fuin jutsu used by Kushina Uzumaki, originating from the Uzumaki clan's unique chakra and sealing prowess. This technique allows the user to manifest chains of pure chakra from their body. These chains are not ordinary restraints. They are dense, durable, and infused with sealing properties capable of suppressing the chakra of tailed beasts. During Kushina's encounter with the Ninetales, she used these chains to immobilize Kurama, a feat that demonstrates the technique's extraordinary strength. The chains can either emerge to bind the target directly or form barriers and seals, such as the 8-trigram seal, to imprison massive forces. Their versatility extends to both offense and defense. The chains can pierce through enemies and then anchor them in place, preventing movement or chakra flow. Due to the immense chakra required and the level of control involved, only a select few Uzumaki can perform this technique effectively. Its ability to subdue beings on the level of a tailed beast elevates it to one of the most formidable sealing techniques in the shinobi world. Hyuga's Juin Jutsu. The Hyuga main family's Juin Jutsu is a cursed seal placed on the foreheads of branch family members at a young age. This seal serves as a method of absolute control, preventing rebellion and protecting the secrets of the Byakugan. When activated by a main family member, the seal releases a focused burst of chakra that targets the brain's nervous system, inducing intense pain or instant death. This neural disruption ensures loyalty through the constant threat of annihilation. Beyond the pain, the seal also destroys the Byakugan upon death, preventing its theft or misuse by enemies. While not used in open combat, its psychological impact and deadly precision define it as a potent A-rank jutsu rooted in suppression rather than destruction. Imperial Funeral Seal. The Desert Layered. Imperial Funeral Seal is one of Gaara's most devastating sand techniques, designed for total battlefield suppression. After immobilizing a target with his sand manipulation, Gaara summons multiple massive layers of sand that form into pyramid-like tombs. Each layer applies crushing force, burying and compacting the enemy deeper beneath the surface. Unlike his faster, more precise sand coffin, this jutsu prioritizes scale and absolute entrapment. The sand moves with both speed and precision, reshaping large portions of the battlefield into burial sites. When used during large-scale conflicts, it can entomb groups of enemies simultaneously, creating a landscape littered with silent tombs. Its weight and density generate enough pressure to crush even armored targets. Additionally, the sealed sand formations are difficult to escape, making it nearly impossible for the victim to counter or react. In prolonged battles, this jutsu drains stamina quickly, but offers strategic terrain control and psychological advantage through suffocation and isolation. Great Shark Bullet. Kisame Hoshigaki's Great Shark Bullet technique exemplifies chakra absorption and destructive mobility. The user creates a gigantic water shark composed of high-density chakra that surges toward the enemy with crushing force. What makes this jutsu exceptional is its ability to absorb chakra-based attacks. When an opponent counters with ninjutsu, the shark absorbs the chakra and expands in size and strength. This mechanic forces enemies to avoid direct confrontation, reducing their options mid-battle. In water-rich environments, such as lakes or rain-heavy terrain, the shark moves faster and strikes with greater impact. Kisame, known for his immense chakra pool, enhances the technique's scale, turning it into a mobile weapon of attrition. When combined with his fusion with Samihada, the shark can become nearly unstoppable in close to mid-range combat. Its sustained pressure forces opponents into a defensive position, disrupting formations and exhausting resources. Great Waterfall. Zabuza Momochi's Great Waterfall technique is a massive water-style attack that generates a towering wave vortex, crashing over everything in its path. This isn't just a wide-range flood. It's a continuous water surge that can sweep up terrain, uproot trees, and swallow defensive structures. It serves both offensive and strategic purposes, cutting off enemy lines and creating water sources for follow-up techniques. The overwhelming volume and turbulence disorient opponents while offering Zabuza full control over the battlefield. When used in misty or forested areas, the technique becomes even more effective by merging with terrain elements, reducing visibility and escape routes. Healing Resuscitation. The Healing Resuscitation regeneration technique is a high-level medical ninjutsu developed for battlefield emergencies. Used by Tsunade and advanced medical teams from Konoha, the jutsu floods a patient's body with healing chakra, forcibly restarting organs and repairing fatal injuries through accelerated cell regeneration. It operates on the edge of medical possibility, reviving those at death's door. However, the technique consumes a vast amount of chakra, often requiring multiple skilled medics to perform it in sequence. The chakra strain can lead to total exhaustion or death for the users, especially if they push beyond their physical limits. Because of its intensity, it's only used in critical situations where conventional healing is no longer effective. The technique sacrifices the safety of the medics to preserve key assets on the battlefield. such as high-ranking shinobi or jinchuriki. Its effectiveness lies in its timing and teamwork, but the personal toll makes it one of the most dangerous A-rank techniques in the medical field. Twin Snakes, Mutual Death. The Twin Snakes Mutual Death technique is a forbidden jutsu taught to Anko Mitarashi by Orochimaru. In close quarters, the user grips the enemy and activates the technique, summoning two snakes that intertwine around both individuals. Upon activation, the snakes release a deadly surge of chakra, killing both the user and the target instantly. The jutsu is built entirely on the principle of mutual destruction. There is no escape for either side. It's designed for moments of complete desperation, when defeating the enemy is worth sacrificing one's own life. The technique is rarely seen due to its irreversible nature, but it underscores the brutality of shinobi warfare. Its strategic value lies not in survival, but in removing high-priority threats from the battlefield through sheer finality. Cesoris puppet performance. Skillful achievement with a human body takes puppet mastery to a disturbing extreme. By turning a living person into a human puppet, Cesori preserves not just their appearance, but their chakra pathways and jutsu capabilities. Through chakra threads, he manipulates the victim's body directly, using them to fight with their original skills intact. The puppet retains a naturalistic appearance, making it hard for enemies to realize they're facing a reanimated body rather than a normal ninja. This technique not only extends Cesori's arsenal, but also breaks moral boundaries by stripping victims of their will and reducing them to tools. When used against elite shinobi, it allows Cesori to weaponize their talents against their own comrades, introducing psychological warfare into physical combat. Reverse Lotus. The Reverse Lotus is an advanced taijutsu technique performed by Might Guy after opening multiple of the 8 inner gates. Building upon the foundation of the front lotus, this technique removes the body's natural chakra limiters, drastically boosting the user's speed, strength, and reflexes. Once the gates are opened, Guy launches the opponent into the air and delivers a sequence of high-velocity strikes, slamming the target repeatedly with precision and overwhelming force. The sheer intensity of each hit can break bones and rupture internal organs, even through defensive jutsu or chakra armor. However, the cost is severe. The user's muscles tear under the stress, bones may fracture, and movement becomes increasingly limited after execution. The Reverse Lotus is not designed for sustained combat. It's a burst-type technique meant to end a fight instantly, particularly against enemies who are too strong or fast for conventional taijutsu. Its high risk and devastating damage make it a pinnacle A-rank move for close-quarters specialists. Quintuple Rashimon. The summoning. Quintuple Rashimon is a defensive summoning technique used by Orochimaru. Upon activation, 5 gigantic demonic gates rise in succession, forming a multi-layered barrier between the user and incoming attacks. Each gate is imbued with reinforced chakra and designed to withstand enormous force. When stacked together, they create a defense capable of blocking attacks from tailed beasts, including full-scale Bijudama blasts. The jutsu's effectiveness lies in its layering. The more gates summoned, the greater the absorption and dispersion of force. Unlike typical barriers that rely on chakra walls or elemental resistance, Rashomon uses solid physical gates infused with summoning chakra, making it extremely difficult to bypass with sheer power. While it takes a brief moment to summon all 5 gates, the payoff is massive in situations where survival depends on nullifying catastrophic attacks. As a battlefield tool, it allows the user to stall or completely negate enemy momentum, especially during large-scale clashes or ambush scenarios. Paper of God. The Paper Person of God. Technique is Conan's most calculated and destructive jutsu. By preparing 600 billion paper bombs and embedding them into an entire landscape, she transforms the battlefield into a trap engineered for a single target, Obito Uchiha. Once activated, the paper bombs detonate in an uninterrupted cycle for 10 full minutes, an overwhelming duration in combat. This jutsu isn't just an explosion, it's a sustained assault that removes all escape options. Each explosion is precisely timed to eliminate any chance of survival, even accounting for Obito's Kamui intangibility. Konan calculated the exact time limit of his ability and extended the attack beyond it, showing a rare level of tactical precision. The technique required years of preparation, including environmental alteration and chakra manipulation to control each paper fragment. Though ultimately countered by Kamui's space-time jutsu, the scale and intent behind the paper person of God technique elevate it to one of the most dangerous A-rank techniques ever shown. Lariat. Lightning release. Lariat is Killer Bee's signature offensive technique, combining lightning chakra with the raw physical force of the Eight Tails. By cloaking himself in a chakra shroud and accelerating to high speed, Bee tackles his opponent with full body momentum. The strike generates enough kinetic and piercing power to sever limbs or decapitate targets outright. Its execution is so fast that few shinobi can track it, let alone react in time. When coordinated with another user, like his brother A, the fourth Raikage, the attack becomes a dual lariat, amplifying the devastation. This technique requires precise chakra control and synchronization with a tailed beast, demonstrating Bee's mastery over his bijou. The lariat is not only a symbol of brute strength, but also the seamless integration of Jinchuriki power and traditional taijutsu. 4 Red Yang. The 4 Red Yang formation stands at the pinnacle of sealing and defensive barrier ninjutsu, activated jointly by 4 Kage-level shinobi: Hashirama, Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Minato. It erects an enormous cube-shaped barrier that is virtually impenetrable. The jutsu's primary function is containment, used effectively to trap the 10 tails during the 4th Great Ninja War. Each wall of the formation is reinforced with high-level chakra and connected through a sealing formula maintained by the users. The barrier resists both physical and chakra-based assaults from even Bijou-class entities, making it a rare example of true battlefield control. Its scale and strength require immense chakra from each participant, limiting its use to elite-level teams in critical scenarios. 8 Branches Technique. One of the most visually stunning and terrifying jutsu in Naruto. The technique draws from Orochimaru's connection to the White Snake's power, essentially his ultimate trump card. What makes this jutsu absolutely insane is the sheer versatility. Those 8 heads aren't just for show. Each one can attack separately, creating a nightmare scenario where you're getting bombarded from every possible angle. And just when you think you figured out the pattern, Orochimaru emerges from any of the mouths wielding the legendary Kusanagi sword. We saw this perfectly during his fight with Itachi. However, this overwhelming display of power couldn't stand up to Susanu's Totsuka blade and Yata mirror. Sometimes raw power meets technique, and technique wins. Spirit Transformation Technique. Dan Kato's Spirit Transformation Technique is probably one of the most terrifying jutsu you've ever thought about. Imagine separating your soul from your body and becoming a ghost that can kill people by just touching them. That's exactly what this S-rank technique does. Once Dan activates this jutsu, he becomes completely untouchable. Physical attacks? Useless. His spirit form hunts down targets no matter where they hide, and a single touch can crush someone's soul. It's like having a heat-seeking missile that phases through walls and can't be stopped. During the 4th Great Ninja War, he used it to reach Tsunade and transfer all of his remaining chakra to heal her. The real genius behind spirit transformation isn't just its lethality. It's the psychological warfare. Your enemy knows you're coming, but they can't see you, can't fight you. Man, if Dan had become an assassin, he would have easily been one of the top assassins out there. Just a second, thanks to all the friends who have been with us from the very beginning, and also to the new members of our community. We've reached 10,000 subscribers, and now we are aiming for 25,000. We know the anime world is huge, and everyone has their favorite shows and stories. Soon, we want to dive deeper into one of the greatest legends, One Piece. What do you think if our channel adds more good analysis, theories, and reviews about Luffy's journey and the Straw Hat crew? Please let us know what you think. Now, let's get back to Dead Demon Consuming Seal. Now, you're facing an enemy so powerful that nothing else will work. Your village is in danger, people are dying, and you're out of options. That's when you perform the hand seals that summon the Shinigami, the actual Grim Reaper. The Shinigami appears behind you, invisible to everyone else, and reaches through your body to grab your target's soul. Your enemy becomes completely helpless. No jutsu, no movement, nothing. They just watch as their soul gets ripped out and sealed away forever. And then, the Shinigami takes your soul too, trapping both of you in an eternal battle inside its stomach. We've seen this technique used twice in the most heartbreaking moments of the series. Hiruzen used it against Orochimaru during the Konoha Crush, managing to seal the first and second Hokage, but only getting Orochimaru's arms before his strength gave out. Then there's Minato, who split Kurama in half and sealed the Yin chakra in himself, while putting the Yang chakra in baby Naruto. This jutsu literally is making a deal with death itself. Creation Rebirth. This S-rank medical technique is basically Tsunade's way of saying, not today, to death. Here's how this crazy jutsu works. Instead of healing damaged cells, it triggers rapid cell division throughout your entire body. Got stabbed through the heart? No problem. Your body just creates new heart tissue instantly. Missing organs? They'll grow back before you can blink. The catch? You need the Yin seal on your forehead, which requires years of chakra accumulation. Think of it as your personal battery pack for immortality. When Tsunade releases that diamond-shaped mark, those intricate patterns spread across her face, and suddenly, she's practically unkillable. But you know, the number of times the human body can divide its cells is limited. The more you abuse this jutsu, the faster you age. Strength of 100 Seal. This can be considered an upgraded version of Creation Rebirth. Just like Creation Rebirth, they have to release the Yin seal. However, those intricate patterns spread across their entire body, not just the face, like they've just unlocked God mode. What makes it even more powerful is that you don't have to wait, and you don't need any hand seals. This is an auto-heal technique that doesn't require any conscious control from the user. Got injured? Ignore it. No big deal. Got stabbed by Suzanu's sword? Whatever. Like that could kill you. As long as you still have chakra, you'll stay alive. And just like that, a medical ninja can instantly become a frontline tank charging into battle. However, in the history of the shinobi world, only 2 ninja have mastered this technique. Tsunade and her student, Sakura. Flying Thunder God, this is probably one of the coolest jutsu in all of Naruto. It's all about redefining what speed even means in a fight. Here's what makes this technique absolutely broken. Tobirama and Minato don't just move quickly, they literally step through dimensional space to appear wherever they've placed their special markers. Those kunai Minato throws around are potential exit points from anywhere in the universe. What separates this from other space-time jutsu is the tactical genius behind it. While techniques like Kamui let you phase through attacks, Flying Thunder God lets you control the entire battlefield. Minato could scatter marked kunai across an area, then appear behind enemies faster than they could blink. Imagine fighting someone who could vanish mid-conversation and reappear with a Rosengon already spinning towards your back. That's exactly why entire armies would retreat just hearing yellow flash was on the battlefield. Kieran. When Sasuke unleashed Kieran against Itachi, he literally called down nature's wrath in the form of a lightning dragon. This S-rank technique is absolutely insane because it barely uses any chakra at all. Instead, Sasuke acts like a lightning rod director, guiding natural lightning strikes with surgical precision. Here's what makes Kieran terrifying. It moves at 1/1000th of a second. That's faster than most people can even blink, let alone dodge. Yeah, but you need thunderclouds first. No storms around, no problem. Just burn the sky with Amaterasu or some massive fire jutsu to create your own weather system. Pretty casual stuff for an Uchiha. Kieran obliterated an entire mountainside and shattered Itachi's Susanoo. However, what really makes it special is the chakra cost. Normally, the stronger the technique, the more chakra it drains. But Kieran lets you harness nature itself as your weapon. The only drawback? You can't exactly spam it unless you're standing in the middle of a natural thunderstorm. There's one more S-rank lightning-style jutsu we need to mention, and that's Raikiri. Raikiri, also known as Lightning Cutter, is basically Kakashi Hatake's upgraded and more precise version of the classic Chidori technique. While it shares the same core concept as Chidori, Raikiri is sharpened to be deadlier and more refined. Pulling it off requires insane speed, which also makes the user vulnerable if they're not careful. That's why mastering it safely pretty much demands the Sharingan to avoid getting wrecked in the process. Even though it hits hard, Raikiri can't just be spammed. Back in the early Naruto days, Kakashi could only use it about 4 times a day because it seriously drained his chakra reserves. Well, that makes sense. If you spam an S-rank jutsu too much, it would be way too OP. Well, by the time Shippuden rolled around, Kakashi had way better chakra control, letting him use Raikiri more frequently, and even get creative with how he applied it. During the Fourth Great Ninja War, Kakashi took it to a whole new level, unleashing Raikiri empowered by the Six Paths power against Kaguya, something totally impossible for a normal technique. He even combined Raikiri with Kamui, making the lightning strike able to pass through any material, turning it into one of the deadliest moves in the entire Naruto saga. Living Corpse Reincarnation. Orochimaru's Living Corpse Reincarnation is basically the ultimate cheat code for immortality. This S-rank jutsu lets him literally steal someone else's body by transferring his soul into them. It's like the world's most twisted form of identity theft. Here's how this nightmare works. Orochimaru reveals his true form, a massive white snake made of countless smaller snakes, and swallows his target whole. Then they duke it out in a mental dimension where whoever's willpower is stronger wins the body. He can only do this once every 3 years because the host body starts rejecting him like a bad organ transplant. With this jutsu, Orochimaru becomes practically immortal, hopping from one powerful ninja to another, collecting their abilities. He specifically targeted Sasuke for those sweet Sharingan powers, which shows just how calculating this snake really is. Night Guy. This is the most devastating taijutsu technique we've ever seen in Naruto. This isn't just another flashy jutsu. This is Might Guy literally burning his life force to deliver one perfect kick that could reshape the battlefield. It requires opening all 8 gates, including the Death Gate. We're talking about unlocking every single limiter your body has to protect itself. But then, Guy becomes a human missile wrapped in red aura that looks like a dragon. The visual alone tells you this technique doesn't mess around. Guy literally channels everything, his chakra, his life energy, his years of training, into a single devastating kick. The speed is so intense, It literally warps space around the attack. This technique moves so fast it bends reality itself. No wonder Madara, who had been casually swatting away attacks, suddenly looked genuinely terrified. What really sets Night Guy apart from other S-rank jutsu is the complete commitment it demands. There's no holding back, no second chances. It's a one-shot technique that costs everything. When Guy used it against Madara, he nearly cracked the Ten Tails Jinchuriki in half, someone who was practically untouchable at that point. Shosi Tensei, the hidden sand village, has some truly dangerous jutsu. Developed exclusively by Chiyo of Sunagakure, this kenjutsu represents everything terrifying about medical ninjutsu taken to its logical extreme. The mechanics are brutally simple, yet philosophically devastating. The user transfers their entire life force through a pale blue chakra stream to resurrect the dead or save the dying. When Chiyo uses it to bring back Gaara after Shukaku's extraction, she's not just performing medical treatment. She's literally trading her existence for his. Chiyo is a medical nin, and clearly, this is a life-for-life jutsu meant to save others. However, it's actually an incomplete technique. Originally, it was researched so that she could give Cesoris puppet versions of his parents the souls of their real counterparts. She developed this jutsu because of Cesori, and also for combat purposes. Chiyo is a puppet master, and she wanted to breathe life into her puppets to enhance their combat abilities. Can you imagine it? Puppet bodies can be replaced. If one puppet gets destroyed, you just transfer the soul into another and keep fighting. Essentially, the Hidden Sand Village could have created an army of puppets as strong as Sakura, or even as powerful as Cesori, since the bodies can be mechanized and vastly superior to normal human bodies. But Sunagakure immediately banned the technique after its creation for humanitarian reasons. It violates the natural order of life and death, manipulating the souls of the dead and forcing them to fight. Similar to Edotensei, if Chiyo had truly perfected this jutsu and the hidden sand had approved its use, it's possible they could have united the 5 great nations and redrawn the entire world map. White Secret Technique, the Chikamatsu collection of 10 puppets. This is another technique used by Lady Chiyo, a true puppet master. And honestly, it's terrifying to watch. When Chiyo unleashes all 10 puppets simultaneously, you're witnessing decades of refined artistry turned into a weapon of mass destruction. Each puppet packs the punch of 1,000 lesser ones. That's legendary craftsmanship. What makes this technique genuinely spine-chilling is the coordination. 10 individual death machines moving in perfect harmony, each controlled by a single finger through chakra strings. The mental processing power required is astronomical, yet Chiyo makes it look effortless. And speaking of puppets, of course we have to mention Red Secret Technique, performance of 100 puppets. One of the most visually insane techniques in all of Naruto. When Sasori opens his chest and releases over 100 chakra strings, you know things are about to get absolutely wild. This is puppet warfare on a scale that could level entire nations. The mechanics here are honestly terrifying when you think about it. Cesori connects directly from his puppet core to summoning scrolls, bypassing the usual limitations that hold back puppet masters. Most ninja can barely handle 10 puppets at once. Cesori? He's conducting a symphony of destruction with over 100 marionettes of death. What makes this technique so devastating isn't just the numbers game, though that's certainly part of it. Every single weapon these puppets carry is coated with Cesori's special poison, the kind that gives you 3 days of excruciating pain before you die. Imagine facing down an army where even a scratch means you're done for. The crazy part is how effortlessly Cesori controls them all. No hand signs, no visible strain, just pure chakra mastery flowing directly from his core. It's like watching someone play a 100-player video game simultaneously while making it look easy. The man literally conquered an entire country with this technique, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. Their one major weakness? A lack of coordination. Cesoris compensates for this flaw with sheer overwhelming numbers. Reverse 4 symbols, sealing. Here's the thing about Danzo's reverse 4 symbol sealing. It's basically the ninja equivalent of setting up a booby trap with your own corpse. The setup is as brilliant as it is morbid. Before dying, Danzo carved the sealing formula directly onto his chest, essentially turning himself into a ticking time bomb. The moment his heart stopped beating, his blood activated 4 symbols that unleashed a massive black sphere around his body. It's like a giant vacuum cleaner. Everything within range gets sucked in and sealed away forever inside his corpse. What makes this jutsu absolutely devastating is its automatic trigger mechanism. Unlike other techniques that require conscious activation, this one goes off whether you want it to or not once you're dead. Danzo wanted to use this technique to take Sasuke down with him, but nope. Obito managed to save Sasuke just in time with his Kamui. Phantom Dragon's 9, Consuming Seals. This is one of the most devastating sealing techniques, famously used by Pain and the Akatsuki. The jutsu forcibly extracts the tailed beasts from their Jinchuriki, a brutal process so agonizing it usually kills the host. First, Pain summons the Gedo Mazo statue. Then, the 9 Akatsuki members position themselves on the tips of the statue's fingers. Chakra flows from the statue, triggering special seals on the rings worn by each member. Suddenly, 9 chakra dragons shoot out from the statue's mouth, coiling around the Jinchuriki and initiating the sealing. And keep in mind, summoning Gedo Mazo isn't just about having the Rinnegan, it also demands an enormous chakra reserve. This technique isn't just for sealing the beasts, it's a critical step in the Akatsuki's master plan to resurrect the terrifying Ten-Tails. Edotensei. The second Hokage really was a ninja genius. He literally created a jutsu where your enemies become your greatest assets after you've already killed them. Although Tobirama immediately banned this technique after inventing it, the truth is, he handed future generations the nuclear option of the ninja world. The concept is beautifully horrifying in its simplicity. Grab some DNA, sacrifice a living person, and then you've got yourself a legendary ninja who can't actually die. But here's where it gets really dark. This isn't just about bringing back the dead. It's about weaponizing grief and legacy. When Kabuto showed up to the 4th Great Ninja War with an army of beloved heroes and feared villains, he was psychological warfare incarnate, forcing the living to fight their own mentors, friends, and legends. Yeah, every Edotensei requires a living person to serve as the vessel, meaning the technique demands fresh death to create undying soldiers. That's right, it's incredibly dangerous and comes at a very high cost. It was suitable for the Warring States era, the time when people died like flies. Furthermore, what makes this technique absolutely terrifying is its scalability. One skilled user can theoretically raise entire armies of S-rank shinobi, each retaining their original abilities while gaining immortality. Honestly, from an ethical perspective, this jutsu is pretty dark, but you can't deny it gave the series some of its most legendary battles. Water Prison Shark Dance Technique. This is one of the largest scale water techniques ever seen. Kisame creates a massive water dome using Great Exploding Water Colliding Wave, then transforms the battlefield into his personal hunting ground. Especially, it moves with him. While his opponents struggle to breathe and move underwater, Kisame becomes an apex predator in his element. When he nearly drowned Killer Bee, a perfect Jinchuriki, it proved this jutsu could challenge even the most powerful shinobi. See, a tailless monster using water techniques has to be at this level. Wind Release, Rasen Shuriken. This is one of Naruto's signature moves. Naruto literally weaponized his father's Rosengon by infusing it with wind nature, creating microscopic blades that slice enemies apart at the molecular level. Actually, early versions were basically self-harm attacks. Every time Naruto threw one, his arm got shredded by the same cellular damage he was dishing out. The technique was so brutal that even Tsunade banned him from using it. However, when he mastered Sage Mode, he could finally throw Rasen Shuriken without turning his hands into confetti, transforming what was essentially a kamikaze move into long-range artillery that could level mountains and reshape battlefields. Tailed Beastball. When we talk about raw, unfiltered destruction in Naruto, the Tailed Beastball stands as the gold standard. It's pure annihilation compressed into a sphere of chakra that can literally erase mountains from existence. What makes this technique absolutely terrifying is its deceptively simple concept. The user compresses positive and negative chakra in a precise 2:8 ratio, creating an orb of concentrated devastation. Sounds straightforward? Try maintaining that exact balance while channeling enough chakra to power a small village. Only tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki possess the monstrous chakra reserves necessary to pull this off without dying in the process. Its power? Just getting hit by one tailed beast ball could wipe out an entire ninja alliance. That's why ninja villages always want to control this power and use the Jinchuriki as military weapons. It's also why Hokage usually protect the village by redirecting the tailed beast bomb away from populated areas. Of course, all the variations of this move are also S rank, like continuous tailed beast balls or tailed beast Rasen Shuriken. These moves only show up in huge scale battles, while normally Rasengan and bigger Rasengan are enough. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.